AWS OnAir live at reInvent. We are bringing you all of the latest updates and innovation happening here at the conference this week. I'm Jasmine. I'm joined again with my co-host James. James, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to learn about this next segment we have coming up. Generative AI is like, it's the buzzword. You could play a drinking game with it. So we're going to be talking to a little bit more about generative AI and some of the large language models coming up.
Yeah, and we have some guests here today. Who are you? Welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm Kishore Aher. I am a Principal Product Manager on Amazon Bedrock team.
Hi, and I'm Tarun Sairam, and I'm also a product manager with the Amazon Bedrock team.
Awesome, welcome. We're so excited to learn more about Amazon Bedrock and how customers are using it and starting to innovate. So tell us a little bit about what you launched here at reInvent.
So let me start. We launched continual pre-training for Titan text models yesterday, and it gives it in the name. It's continual pre-training. So the large language models are generally trained with large public data sets, and that means they have a lot of information available on the internet, but the data set used does not have like specific information, like customer-specific information or terms and terminologies which our customers use. Also, they stop at one point in time. So, of course, Amazon keeps up, and every few months we release new models. But during that time, it's stuck. So we don't have the latest information. So with continual pre-training, what we can do is we can continue to train the model with new information. And then model can keep up. It can learn new terminologies. It can learn domain-specific data sets. And we make it easy now with Amazon Bedrock to continually pre-train a model.
Nice. Like, that's one of the things when we're talking about large language models. I always wonder, we have data that it's training from, but new data comes in all the time. So how do we make sure that everything is fresh, everything is current? Because things move forward. We're just continually moving. We want to make sure that we're not getting old stuff. Old stuff is not going to be helpful in the future, obviously.
Yep. So yeah, and again, there are things like the model does not have to forget the things, right? The important thing is like when you continue pre-train, when you add more data, there is forgetfulness. So we make sure with continual pre-training in Amazon Bedrock that the model doesn't forget the old task, right? So you can continue to do things which you were doing with new data.
Yeah, so the model continues growing, in knowledge and becomes more adaptable.
That's correct, yes.
Right. And along the lines of what Kishore said, we also launched fine-tuning support for more models, third-party models from Cohere and Meta on Bedrock. So very similar to continual pre-training, you might find that the base model, the pre-trained model is not good for your specific use case. It might not match the exact tone, style, voice that you're trying to go, or it might not have the domain knowledge that your task has, or things like that. So you might want to have like question-answer pairs to train that model, to fine-tune those models so that it's just perfect for your use case, right? So we, along with continual pre-training, we also launched the fine-tuning capabilities for these models, so you can leverage those as well.
Yeah. Tell me, Tarun, what is fine-tuning?
Yeah. Fine-tuning is the process by which you're taking like a really small data set, usually a few hundreds to few thousands of lines where you have the prompt response pairs, and you're taking the base model and you're adapting the weights of the base model to match these question answer pairs, right? And so those are exactly for the tasks that I outlined earlier. So that the whole process is called fine-tuning.
Got it. I want to make sure we have some new audience members. You probably thought I was going to ask you a really hard question. I saw you on the edge of your seat there, but we just want to make sure, this is very new and novel to some people, and then you have people who have been working on the technology for years. So
Absolutely.
It's definitely like, let's figure out how we get everyone involved no matter where they are and at what level.
Absolutely.
Yeah, even as someone who kind of knows the technology a little bit, I never really thought, you always talk about learning from huge data sets. I never even really thought about, the fine-tuning aspect where we're training from smaller and more specific things.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about what was the before state before, you talked about the continued pre-training. Tell me about the before state.
So before state was it was do it yourself, right? So now you have to find the infrastructure where you can bring it a base model. And then now you have to set up the whole infrastructure. bring the data set, format the data set in the correct format, and then run the algorithm to continually pre-train the model, test the model, and then deploy it. So this process was completely infrastructure-driven. You needed expertise. You need like data scientists and even Gen AI developers, because now you build a model, but somebody else have to test it. So this process was complicated before.
Okay. What about fine-tuning? How was it before?
Similarly, some of the same points that Kishore mentioned, right? Managing infrastructure. And you really needed a team of data scientists who are expert at this and who pick the right fine-tuning recipe. There are like many out there. You can choose from full model fine-tuning. You could have like newer techniques like PEFT and LoRa, which are like specific tasks. So you needed a team of data scientists to figure those out, manage infrastructure, get the process ready before you could get value from this, right? And what we've done with Bedrock is that we've democratized that and made it accessible to everyone, so that like you can come in, you can have a few clicks, there are a few knobs you turn, you provide the data set in a specific format, and we do all the heavy lifting for you, and you can leverage the value of the model.
Yeah, I love that. Do the heavy lifting for me. So I just go in the console and click the buttons that I need. And speaking of getting into the console, you bought us our favorite thing. You know what that is?
Demos.
Demos.
Demo.
Yay.
All right, let's see it. Let's see what we're going to...
OK. So yep, this is our beautiful Amazon Bedrock screen. And you can see on the left, we have custom models. Now, the best part about the things we discussed, like continual pre-training and fine-tuning, they both live in the same place. So they live in the same location in the console, and they also use the same APIs. So it's a single API for both fine-tuning and continual pre-training. So as you can see here, you can customize the model and then deploy it. So I'm going to quickly show you the screen for fine-tuning. You can simply say, create fine-tuning job. You can select from list of the models here. So you can see we have 3P models and 1P models. That is Cohere Command, Llama. We have Titan Image, Titan Multimodal, Titan Text. And most important thing is you can take a continual pre-train or a fine-tune model and continue to pre-train and again fine-tune it. So you can do that too. So for example, I had created earlier a custom model. I can further fine-tune it. Next, you would give it a name, so name for the new model. Give a job name, and simply select where the input data is. Set the hyperparameters, and select where you want to store the output data, and create a role, or use an existing role to create a fine-tuned model. Let's go back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create actually a job for continual pre-training. If you see, it's exactly similar screen, so there's not much difference. The only difference here is in how the data sets are set up. For fine-tuning, as Tarun mentioned, that you need prompts and you need completions. For continual pre-training, you just need like raw data as input. So let me show you here like input format. It just says simply here input in JSON-L format and then the text. So let's quickly go here and select a source model, that is Titan Express. Give it a name, so let's give it OnAir.
I thought you were going to use the good old my model, my sample kind of thing.
Oh, here we are OnAir, so OnAir model. It's a model for this team.
model.
Yeah, an OnAir model job. No VPC settings because I have my data right here, and I'm going to select the input data. So I'll just select this bucket, and I showed you already the JSON-L file. I select this JSON-L file, and just set simple settings. Again, the heavy lifting, which Tarun mentioned, right? So it's very simple. You just selected a file from S3 bucket. You set bare minimum parameters here, and you select a location where you want to store the output data. And then choose that. You can create a new role. I'm going to create a new role, OnAir role.
Love these names.
Yeah. And then create the job. That's it. Now you go back to the main screen where you see historical jobs. You come here and you can see OnAir model job. We are training it. Of course, I'm not going to let this training complete because it's going to take anywhere from 1 hour to a few more hours. We can be sitting all here for a long time. So let me show you a job which I ran earlier and which was completed. You can see the job was completed, what were the hyperparameters we selected, where the output data is stored. And let's go back to the custom models. And as I showed you training, here is the models which we created. So I have this model which I created, which is Gen AI on AWS. Now you can go back into the text playground, select that model, and simply start using this model. It's as simple as that.
Nice. Playground. Yeah, let's see a little bit about let's see a little bit of the playground.
Yeah. Sorry, who? So let's ask this question.
It's a good question. I didn't know we had that book.
Yeah, actually, this book, the authors of this book are fellow Amazonians. Let's quickly go here. Select the model.
Okay.
Well, the model is syncing.
So give me an example of maybe some customers who would want access to these new features.
So the customers, again, I think almost all the customers who are working on a very specific type of data, right, where they don't want to use generalized data. Now, there's a process, there's a workflow, right? For example, there are a lot of other features Bedrock support. You can start with simple prompt tuning, or you can use RAG or agents, which you can bring external data and inject it into the prompts, and that may suffice. But for customers who have large quantity of data and they want to inject that data like every few months or every month, and apply that data onto the model, those are the customers for whom continual pre-training is useful. Fine-tuning is where they want to match like a branding, brand voice, or let's say they're building like chatbots and they want like their responses to be in a very specific format. They can use fine-tuning for that purposes.
Yeah, just to give a few examples of what Kishore mentioned. So let's say you're a customer service department and you have a certain script that has worked really well and you want the model to respond in that fashion. So that would be a use case of when you can use fine-tuning to adapt to that style, tone. Or if you have like a domain-specific model which you're trying to do, let's say you're trying to build an investment assistant and there's a lot of financial jargon and you want the model to learn that specific vocabulary. So that might be another option to use fine-tuning.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I would need it to help teach me some of the jargon. That'd be great.
Awesome. So that was awesome. I love seeing the demo and being able to understand, for fine tuning as well as for the continued pre-training, right? On how, once you get started with Bedrock, you can continue to advance and improve and simplify your workflows. Yeah. So how can people find out more information and how to use these specific features?
They can go to Amazon documentation. There is a user guide on how to use this feature, or they can simply just go to console and create a fine-tuning job.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, like you said, go to the Amazon Bedrock product page. That is all the time that we have for today. I've certainly enjoyed it sitting here with you, Kishore and Tarun. James, thanks for being an amazing co-host, as always.
I do my best.
All right, and we'll be back with more.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.